Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Go Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share once again a few thoughts. So since it is the first day of our Holy Name Festival, I was invited by the festival organizers to dedicate this class to the Holy Name. So we will not even read this verse. I wanted to refer to a verse from the first canto, 8th chapter, verse 26. Maybe if somebody wants to give me that Bhagavatam, 1:8:26, probably you have it there in the shelf. So let me first mention a few introductory words, because chanting, just to share with you, I do conduct Holy Name retreats almost all over the planet. So I actually started with this after my first cancer experience. There I realized, when you get a little closer to the edge, all your big achievements, it's all insignificant. The only thing you're allowed to keep at that moment of death is your relationship with the Lord. And that's established in the Holy Name. Yes. So that was actually, my cancer experiences were one of the best experiences I had, because they gave me so many deep realizations, and that's when I started attending Holy Name retreats. I attended one with Satchidananda Swami. I think he was also here, Satchidananda Swami, in the past. Yes? Yeah. Yes. So, I started conducting Holy Name retreats myself, because I started realizing this chanting in japa as well as in kirtan is actually a very deep science, and one has to continuously endeavor to get to deeper levels of chanting. And very often we take this chanting quite lightly and cheaply, because also japa we chant every day, hopefully, and these activities we do every day, very easily some over-familiarity sneaks in, and we lose respect for the Holy Name, or even in relationships also, married life, very prone to over-familiarity, because you're so close, you know each other so well. And then very easily this loss of respect enters. Also guru-disciple relationship, that's why Guru always keeps us at a good distance, so we don't become over-familiar. So yes, in our chanting, very easily this over-familiarity enters. And we forget what we actually do, that as we have heard many times, Holy Name is non-different from Krishna himself. So by chanting the Holy Name, no matter whether japa or kirtan, we actually can get the sign benefit as meeting Krishna face to face. And this is quite amazing if we more deeply think about it. So Holy Name as the Bhajan Sri Kevalastikam, I don't know if you know it. The Holy Name alone is everything, is always the last line. Harinam eva kevalam. So Holy Name is really absolutely everything. And it's well worthwhile endeavoring to get on deeper levels of understanding. Actually, chanting japa is hard work if we take it seriously, Yes. So But unless we make this endeavor, we will not get a taste. And then chanting japa becomes a dry mechanical duty, just to get these rounds done. And our joy comes from, thank God I finished them. And not from actually chanting the holy name. So this is why it is unfortunately quite a common thing in amongst our devotees, that very often people, after many years of being in Krishna consciousness, they stop chanting 16 rounds. Very common occurrence. And it's very clear, if there is no taste, then how long can you go on? Maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years. But sooner or later you get to the point where you feel, well, I've tried this and it doesn't do anything for me. And apart from that, my service is much more important. And nobody will know anyway whether I chant or not. And and that's how this tendency can easily sneak into our life. And in a similar way, kirtan, if we think that kirtan is just a musical session there where we will all get together and have a great time enjoying good music, this is not what kirtan is, Kirtan is a highly transcendental affair where we also directly connect with the Lord. Yes, it's something completely different than a jolly music session or something, Yes, so, and we have a few nice statements. For example, Prabhupada was making this nice statement where he says, this chanting should go on instead of meetings, resolutions, dissolutions, revolutions, and then no solutions. There should be chanting. Very nice, Of course, I often feel we don't have enough meetings. So it doesn't mean that devotees should not meet or something and should not pass any resolutions. But basically, Prabhupada often was also making that point. When there's management difficulties, it means there's not enough kirtan. Yes. If there's kirtan every day profusely, then management is at your fingertips. And we have this wonderful Leela in Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu traveling through Jarikanda forest, right? We all know it, where he makes all the animals dance and chant, the tigers, the elephants, the monkeys, the deers. Tigers and deers were even embracing each other. It's described even kissing each other. Wow, usually tigers and deers, they eat each other, they don't embrace. So, but that's just such a wonderful pastime illustrating how this chanting the holy name just transcends the bodily platform. And also we can say, these animals are actually nobody else but ourselves. So we have a few tigers maybe amongst us and a few elephants, not so many deers, plenty of monkeys. So, and if we have enough kirtan, that focuses everybody's mind on pleasing the Lord, and we overcome our tiger, elephant, monkey mentality. Yes, that's the power of chanting the holy name. And there is even quotes where Prabhupada said, minimum 2 hours every day the devotees should unite in kirtan. And not just a few young devotees, but actually everyone. So we can just imagine if we would actually do this. It's such a simple formula, and yet so difficult to apply, because in the application we have to practically demonstrate what is most important to us. And this is somewhat, we can say, this is our disease, that we often think there are so many more important things than the holy name. Yes, so these words just as a little introduction. Then also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also makes a nice statement. He says, make your chanting heart deep, not just lip deep. And that is also really to the point, because every morning after Mangalarti we recite the 10 offenses, and then we say, and it is also an offense to even be inattentive while chanting. So this inattentiveness is the root cause for all other offenses. And I'm kind of the person, I like to get to the roots of problems. So I like to understand more deeply what it actually means to be inattentive while chanting. And this is a whole topic in itself, where we don't have so much time to elaborate. But let us quickly understand, and I touched upon it in the last Bhagavatam class, that this inattentiveness takes place on 3 levels: body, mind, heart. So inattentiveness, it's actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes it in Sri Harinam Chintamani. So inattentiveness on the level of the body. I think we are all guilty to some extent of it. It basically means we do other things while we chant. We go shopping, looking in the shops while we chant, or we talk to each other, one person talking, the other person chanting, then the other person responding, and while that person responds, we quickly squeeze a few mantras in. And if the person gives a long response, then we can chant quite a few mantras. But if there's a short response, only one mantra. So like that, it goes back and forwards, right? I think we all know it. Or chanting while doing something on the mobile phone. Oh my God, I see it so often. In japa time, people have the phone next to them. And then as soon as there's some noise coming, then immediately, and then, and we can say, thank God, we have this finger there, so we can still write a quick message with one finger, no problem, very convenient, must be Krishna's arrangement, so unlimited versions of inattentive chanting on the level of the body, And also, very commonly, we like to chant on a clicker, on a counter. And I do say, and I hope nobody minds me saying it, but this is probably one of the safest ways to cultivate inattentive chanting. Yes. Because if we can't chant on beads, then obviously it is the wrong time for chanting. With clicker, you can click with the left hand, right hand. You don't even have to finish a round. You can just divide by 108. So many rounds I've chanted. Oh no, I don't recommend it. Inattentive chanting on the level of the body, behind that is this attitude of trying to maximize our time. That we think, while I'm doing this, I may as well get a few rounds out of the way. Or there's this attitude, let me pass this boring japa time in a more pleasant way, by looking at some nice pictures, or going for jolly walks, or look at the birds and the bees, and so on. Yes. It's all classified as inattentive chanting, actually. So then inattentiveness on the level of the mind is obviously when our mind, takes us for a whole journey around the universe, using the japa time as a plan-making session. Doing our to-do lists, our shopping lists, our planning for the next program, whatever it may be, Yes. And I mean, interestingly, we find the same forms of inattentiveness also in kirtan. In kirtan we also have it often that people are there with their mobile phones in the kirtan, or they start a whole talk there with a neighbor, Oh, this is highly distracting for those who really want to absorb themselves deeper in kirtan, Or the mind takes us for a whole ride there and we are inattentive and not focusing on the holy name. So same things are there in kirtan also, And then, of course, the most crucial level of inattentiveness is the level of the heart. Most crucial, Yes. So, and let us understand a bit more this level of the heart. Prabhupada, we all know it, Prabhupada has given us this formula of chanting in the mood of calling out in helplessness, like the mother calls for his child, other way around, the child calls out for his mother, right? We've all heard it. Calling out in helplessness, in desperation, like a child crying in desperation for his mother. So now, interestingly to understand, when a child cries for his mother, the child does not have the problem of a wandering mind, right? The child does not say, this is strange, every time I call for my mother, I'm thinking of so many other things, where to play, with whom to play, what to play. No, child doesn't have that problem. There is no room in the child's mind except, where is my mother? I need her right now. Right? Yes. So, and Satchidananda Swami always makes this point, we should not get caught up in a boxing match with our mind. And that happens if we don't involve the heart. Yes. Because that example with the child makes it very clear that if we actually call out in desperation and helplessness, then we will not have that problem of a wandering mind. Right? Very simple, very logical. We can't deny it. So, and therefore, the solution actually to the wandering mind is to involve the heart. Yes. That's the solution. If we just engage in a boxing match with the mind, okay, bring it back, and the mind wanders, bring it back, wanders. Of course, we have to bring it back, but then we have to involve the heart. Otherwise, we end up in a boxing match with the mind, and we don't get anywhere. And that is when the heart is not involved. Yes. Yeah. So, and then the next question is, why is it so difficult for us to involve the heart? Why is it so difficult to call out in helplessness? Well, we will find the answer in this purport, which I want to read. Actually, we can read the whole verse and purport if you don't mind. That's Canto 1, Chapter 8, verse 26. That's chapter of prayers of Queen Kunti. So the translation is, My Lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. So now let us hear how Prabhupada unpacks that. Being materially advanced means taking birth in an aristocratic family and possessing great wealth and education and attractive personal beauty. All materialistic men are mad after possessing all these material opulences, and this is known as the advancement of material civilization. But the result is that by possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up. So here we have the answer why it is not so easy for us to feel helpless and call out to Krishna in desperation. Artificially material. But the result is that by possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up, intoxicated by such temporary possessions. Consequently, such materially puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing him feelingly. O Govinda, O Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in the statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency. But there is a quality to such utterance also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. Ooh, this is challenging, right? Yes, because aren't we all striving for material satisfaction? Let's be honest, we do. And here Prabhupada, this is really, heavy, A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the holy name in quality. Therefore, the four principles of material advancement, namely high parentage, good wealth, high education, and attractive beauty, are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. The material covering of the pure spirit soul is an external feature, as much as fever is an external feature of the unhealthy body. The general process is to decrease the degree of the fever and not to aggravate it by maltreatment. Sometimes it is seen that spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished. This is no discouragement. On the other hand, such impoverishment is a good sign as much as the falling of temperature is a good sign. The principle of life should be to decrease the degree of material intoxication, which leads one to be more and more illusioned about the aim of life. Grossly illusioned persons are quite unfit for entrance into the kingdom of God. Wow, this is a heavy purport, very strong. Prabhupada just speaks so strong, so uncompromising, there is a few challenging points, simply how material satisfaction, what does it mean? That how can we feel helpless when we are deeply engrossed in material satisfaction, right? Doesn't go well together, So I guess it's good to remember this, that our main goal in life is not should not, if we want to develop pure devotional service, it should not be material progress and material satisfaction. You know? Yes. So, and I guess that's why also Krishna sometimes sends us a few earthquakes, you know, just to help us to feel helpless, to helplessly cry out to Krishna in desperation. And that is actually the mood. How japa, in japa and kirtan, the holy name should be chanted, you know. And I remember I very strongly had this realization when I was in Bangladesh, and at that time His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj had his first health crisis, that he was unconscious for quite some time. And so many devotees in Bangladesh are his disciples. So when that news came out, whole ISKCON Bangladesh was completely mortified. And we immediately started 24-hour kirtans. And these kirtans were the best kirtans I've ever attended, because they were chanted in utter desperation and helplessness. Yes, truly crying out to Krishna. Sometimes the kirtan leaders were actually crying while they were leading in desperation. And there were such deep kirtans. And that's when it really hit me that yes, this is how kirtan should be chanted, actually. You know, and in such situations, there is no room for showing off. No room. You know, similar experience we may have had when chanting for a devotee who leaves his or her body, right? I mean, it seems like death is almost the only entity which can really make us feel helpless, you know, and shake us up a little bit out of our complacency, you know. So when a person leaves their body and we assemble and we chant for them in kirtan, also that it's not the right time to show off, you know, and that makes the chanting more pure. And there is this mood of helplessness there. And there in Bangladesh, it was interesting for me to observe that as time went by and March, you know, it seemed very clear that, yeah, he is stable, he is getting better, he will not leave. So then the whole quality of the kirtan went down again, because then people lost the spirit of helplessly crying out for Krishna, and then the showing off mood snuck in again. Yeah, I could really observe it, you know, and I was thinking, oh, what a shame, you know, these kirtans before had a whole different quality of feeling there, as Prabhupada describes, you know. Yeah, so, and this helplessness is actually a highly important quality to develop in spiritual practice, you know. Yes. As we become more and more advanced and more free from the influence of false ego, the more we realize how helpless we actually are, you know. And we only have to open up our Vaishnava songbooks. Practically every bhajan is expressing this mood of helplessness. Kabe habe bolo, when, oh when will the day come? Or Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya. You know, the translation is, Gurudev, give to the servant just one drop of mercy. And then the last line, if you're not merciful unto me, I can only weep, and I cannot be able to maintain my life any longer. I mean, how much more helplessness can there be than that? You know, yes, and these are the great songs and prayers of our acharyas, you know. So, and again, what is success in spiritual life is considered to be a failure in material life. So in material life, who is striving for helplessness? You know, it's not a quality people strive for, to feel helpless. But in spiritual life, it's a sign of advancement. You know, yes. So opposite the two are, like day and night. You know, yeah. So what makes a kirtan powerful is also, you know, when we actually really call out to Krishna, appeal to him. This is how the holy name should be chanted. Mindfully turning to Krishna, calling out to him, Krishna, I know you're there, please accept me, longing for the relationship. Only that kind of chanting will actually develop our relationship with Krishna. But if we miss that point and we chant, whether it's japa or kirtan, doesn't matter. If we chant the holy name without turning to Krishna mindfully, calling out to him feelingly, then the chanting will not do anything for our relationship with Krishna. But that's the whole purpose of the chanting, to re-establish that lost and forgotten connection with Krishna. You know? So one can actually easily miss the whole goal and purpose of chanting, you know, by simply just rattling down the rounds and not mindfully turning to Krishna, and can completely miss the whole purpose. And again, if you allow me, I'm quoting Satchidananda Swami. He calls this kind of chanting, where we don't mindfully turn to Krishna in japa or kirtan, he calls that taking an empty medicine capsule. Yes. You know, not tablet, but capsule. Usually they're made from gelatin, but you also get vegetarian capsules. So you can open them. There should be some medicine inside, as a rule there is, you know. But chanting without mindfully calling to Krishna is like empty capsule. And empty capsule, no effect. Yes. Yes. Well, I have to admit, probably the first 20 years of my spiritual life, I was definitely taking empty capsules. I never even heard anything about these things, you know. Yes, yes. And sometimes I come across this in holy name retreats, that people are shocked and they realize, my God, I've had feedbacks from Prabhupada disciples where they asked, I privately gave me the feedback with tears in their eyes, saying, I realize I've done something else over the last 45 years. I have not been chanting the holy name. Yes, such kind of feedbacks I'm getting. And that's why I like to conduct holy name retreats, to hope that I can save people's time, that they don't walk around for 20 or 30 years taking empty capsules like I did, you know. Yeah, so, and also there is even a poisonous capsule too. And empty capsules easily fill with poison. So what's the poisonous capsule? Any of you has some clue? Yes?
Tapping the fences?
Globally, in general, it's true, but it's not exactly what the poisonous capsule is. Yes, but what kind of uproar? It's all true. But no, poisonous capsule is when we use the holy name to basically show off for our own glorification. Instead of glorifying Krishna, we try and glorify ourselves. Wow, that's the poisonous capsule. And that easily sneaks in, because if the capsule is empty, we are not connecting with the Lord, then there is no taste. no deeper satisfaction. So, and then we're trying to get that satisfaction from showing off and bringing attention to ourselves. Yes. Yeah. And we have in the Bhagavatam this nice story with Narada Muni. In his previous life, he was Upavarana, a Gandharva, and he had a very beautiful body and was singing very beautifully. So that's already a dangerous combination, we can say. Beautiful body and beautiful voice. So, and there was once upon a time some Kirtan Mela in the upper planets. So Kirtan Melas are not a new thing, they have always existed. So, and everybody came together glorifying the Lord, and Upavarana was coming in the wrong consciousness. And he was singing to impress the damsels, the heavenly damsels who were present, and bringing attention to himself. Yes, to glorify himself. And as a result, he got cursed. One life without opulence. And that's how he took birth as a son of a maidservant. You know? So this should be a warning to us, you know, that we are very careful in what consciousness we enter Kirtan. That we don't use it to show off. Any kind of showing off contaminates completely. It poisons the whole atmosphere. Doesn't matter whether the showing off is in dancing, you know, bringing attention to ourselves, or the showing off is in playing the instruments. It's a very subtle way, a subtle thing, because the consciousness of a person emanates from every pore of the skin. And it is the consciousness which makes us move. So if we are a little sensitive, you know, we can pick up what consciousness people are in. So let's say a Mridanga player wants to show off. That consciousness comes out through the fingertips of his hands. And consciousness travels on sound vibration. Yes. So, and if you're a little perceptive, you can feel that the Mridanga always, is that touch too loud? Because he wants to be recognized and noticed. Yes. So all the instruments have to be played in the mood of serving the holy name, service mood. It's very subtle, you know. Even clapping is counted as an instrument. And even there we may have that experience that sometimes there's somebody who claps so loud. Oh, he wants to be noticed how loud he can clap. And boo, if you're a little perceptive, you know, it contaminates the kirtan. Yes. Because the clapping is not done in the mood of serving the holy name, but in the mood of wanting to be recognized and noticed. Yes. Oof, very subtle, you know. Yeah, so kirtan, highly transcendental affair, you know, and there is actually an exchange of consciousness taking place, you know. Yes. And what makes a kirtan, a spiritually powerful kirtan, is really when the kirtan leader connects, calls out to Krishna, please accept me. Because I mean, who are we to think that we are so easily accepted by Krishna? You know? So there has to be some greed there, some longing, some humility. That's why Mahaprabhu says, Trinada Pisunichina, you know, one can chant the holy name only in a humble state of mind, you know, not with showing off and this and that, you know. Yeah. So, yeah. Final thing, let me quickly ask you, what do you think? What is more important, kirtan or japa? Japa? Both. Well, what's the difference? So japa, most devotees experience japa as more hard work, more austere, because you have to build that connection personally in your heart, right? Yes. More challenging, more difficult, you know? Yes. And then kirtan is more the spreading, right? So one point is that unless we have established our connection with Krishna in japa, it is very difficult to have that connection in kirtan. Because kirtan offers more distractions, you know? There is the instruments, the rhythm, the melody, the audience. So very easily one gets on external consciousness, thinking, oh, what's everybody thinking? Do they like my tunes? Maybe they get bored, or I have to change, and you know? Yeah, not so easy to really connect in kirtan. Yes, it's a challenge, you know? Yes. So we can understand japa actually sets the foundation to powerful kirtan. It has to be based on good japa. We have to establish our connection in japa, and then there will be more spiritual power in the kirtans, you know. So now my question to you, what's the foundation to japa in regards to our sadhana?
Service.
Humility. More precise. What's the foundation to japa? Huh?
Attentiveness to hearing and being in the prayer moment to Krishna.
Yes, but how? What makes us really mindfully turn to Krishna?
Love.
Huh?
Love.
It's all true, but what I'm looking for is Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's books, reading. Yes, we have to get that sambandha gyan that's described in Harinam Chintamani. The chanting, the pure chanting, has to be based on the deep understanding of sambandha gyan. Who am I? Who is Krishna? What's the whole material world all about? And once that knowledge of sambandha gyan actually hits the heart, then we very naturally will mindfully turn to Krishna and appeal to him, you know? But if we don't regularly hear and read the Bhagavatam, then we are not established in this sambandha gyan, and then we easily cut Krishna out of the picture. We don't mindfully turn to Krishna when we call out, you know. So that's how the three are connected. Bhagavatam sets the foundation to good chanting, and japa, and good japa sets the foundation to powerful kirtan, you know. And I mean, in Bengal you find a lot of professional kirtaniers, you know, they don't chant japa, they don't read the Bhagavatam, you know, even though the kirtans may be very professionally on the level of the musical abilities and all this, but it doesn't have any power, empty capsule, or even poisonous capsule, because it is not based on japa and sambandha gyan, you know. So interesting to get that understanding, and I guess that's why, you know, our great souls in ISKCON, our preachers, gurus, spiritual masters, their kirtan is very powerful, you know, because they have these things in place. Yes. Even though they may not be such good musicians, I don't want to mention any names, but I know some personalities who are not so musically talented, but nevertheless their kirtans are powerful. Yes. So it's not a musical performance. Of course, we try and make it a pleasing arrangement, as a pleasing offering to the Lord and so on, and attractive, but it's not in the first place a musical thing, Yes. And that's why even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, sometimes he was purposefully singing off tune, just to make this point, in Bengal, I'm sure it was necessary, to make this point that kirtan is not a musical performance, Yes. Okay, a few minutes left for questions. Oof, so many. We'll start with you, Pooh.
Thank you so much for your wonderful class. So just on the point of leading kirtans, so does that mean that if devotees are not chanting around or reading Prabhupada's books, then they shouldn't really be leading kirtan in the temple?
Ooh. So now I'm getting caught here in political. Well, all I can say is I do know some communities in Europe who have that approach, that they don't allow people to lead kirtan in the temple room if they don't follow the 4 principles and chant 16 rounds, Yes. But I definitely am not the one here to say what should be done or what shouldn't be done. This is up to the local management and, but I think it's important to express these things, because Kali Yuga, the natural tendency is going downhill, watering things down. That's the natural tendency. And we have to swim against this trend, to keep kirtan as it is and not make something else out of it. Because Kali Yuga, the motto out there in the material world is all about showing off. That's the path to success in material life. The more you can show off and promote yourself, the more successful you will be out there. So, and by that propaganda, we are surrounded. And naturally, we tend to take that into our spiritual practice, inevitably. So, there has to be somebody, who says these things, Otherwise, in another 10, 20, 40 years, kirtan will be some dancing show or something, or some musical performance or something, That's happened in Bengal, even in Bangladesh. You've been to Bangladesh with me. That's the amazing and almost contradictory thing, that a country like Bangladesh, where Narottam Das Thakur comes from, which has such a high heritage of kirtan, has so degraded in things regarding kirtan. And kirtan has become a musical performance in that part of the world. And we've been working very hard over the last 20 years, even in our ISKCON society, to establish kirtan on a higher level. Yes, and get away from this performance and showing off. Yes, and of course there's always some people who get offended and don't like it. But this is what preaching brings along. Yes, it can be a thankless task. Yes. So, and this trends I have noticed in many parts of the world in our society, that You know, there's often this mood, oh, it's all kirtan, 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 no need to come to the temple program, Bhagavatam, chanting, japa, no need, kirtan is the Yuga Dharma, and it's all kirtan, kirtan, kirtan. But yeah, good to understand how the things are connected, you know. Yes. If we want to make kirtan spiritually powerful and uplifting, it has to be based on good japa and Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's books, and following the four regulative principles. Yes. But how you apply this in your community, don't ask me, you know. This is up to you, you know. Yes. But I feel me as a preacher, I should say these things, you know. Yes.
Thank you so much for your class. I really enjoyed it, and it brought a few points that I'm going to be taking into the next week. Hopefully it lasts longer than that. Just on your answer to Prabhuji's question, I was just thinking, how do we, because I completely agree, we need to bring kirtan to another level. That is what we're striving for and aiming for. How do we do that while simultaneously understanding that even offensive chanting is purifying, even offensive chanting can bring people's consciousness up, and kirtan is such an attractive thing, so we have kirtan to attract people, and we're not at that level yet. So as not to discourage people, having that kind of understanding as well, how do we balance it or synergize those aspects?
Well, I dare say education and training is always the number one. We have to educate people. And that's exactly why I like to conduct the Holy Name retreats. You know, and I usually do them over 3 full days with morning session, afternoon session, applying in kirtan in the evenings what we discuss during the day. It's a whole transformational journey. You know, you can't present these things just in a 1-hour Bhagavatam class or something, you know. So education. And then another point, usually people share with me after these Holy Name retreats, they say that now after such a retreat, when I get some deeper understandings of what it means to chant, then we actually lose that burning eagerness, oh, I have to lead the kirtan. Because the more we get on deeper levels of chanting, the more we realize that if we have such a burning desire, I have to lead, and if I am not on the schedule, then it's a lost festival or something. You know, that hey, let's look a little deeper. What is going on here? Are we getting our satisfaction from the holy name? Or are we maybe running after this ego satisfaction of wanting to lead? Yes, you know. And yeah, once we get on deeper levels of understanding, our whole attitude and approach actually changes. And we realize it's so much easier to really connect with the Lord in kirtan when I don't lead. Yes. You know, and then we will not be so keen and eager, oh, I have to be out there, and you know. So, but we cannot impose these things, you know. People have to get education, you know, and a deeper understanding. And of course, I mean, now it's just after the lockdown and so on, but powerful is also when you actually have some, you know, very elevated devotees present leading the kirtans, you know. And then the Vaishnava etiquette is anyway that I'm not gonna, you know, push myself there to the front in the presence of senior Vaishnavas who are advanced and so on, you know. So that gives people the experience, you know, that what pure chanting of the holy name, you know, has, you know, effect, you know. But yeah, it's a fine line, you know, of not being discouraging to devotees, but also not allowing you know, the kirtan to become something else, you know. And yeah, I mean, training and education is where it's at, you know. Yes. Anything else? Yes.
Thanks for the class. It's been very, very inspiring. In order to, like, you've spoken on so many topics, and it's, you know, like, it could seem overwhelming. How do we imbibe all these qualities and all this information that you've given us? So I was thinking, like, in order to do so, we really need to imbibe some introspection. So how can you speak a little bit about the importance of introspection, like especially in a big community like this? There's so much that needs to be done, and it's like sometimes there's an emphasis on the externals, what we seem to be doing or not seem to be doing, and position, and you know, all these external factors. So could you perhaps speak about the importance of also imbibing that internal life?
It's a big topic, and the time is, I'm already 7 minutes over time, and there is a note that one should strictly finish at 8:30. So I'm afraid if I now start a whole new topic, you know, I may not be invited to give the class again, you know, because I'm going over time. But in a nutshell, without introspection and honesty, reflecting constantly, we actually cannot really make advancement. Yes. We can always cheat ourselves. The contaminated intelligence will always find so many reasons why we are actually doing fine and this and that. And just to mention, over the 3 days of the festival, I will be out there with a little book table. And there is 2 books where you may find a lot of the answers to these questions, and you got them already last night. So, and there one reason why I like to be on the book table is to be available to people, so I can connect with people, so people can come up and talk and so on. So I'm planning to be there basically from morning to evening if there's people who want to connect and talk. You know, of course, if there's nobody, then I may not be there so much. But usually there's always some people who want to connect and talk. So I'll be available over the next 3 days on the book table where we can churn more nectar. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sri Harinam Prabhu ki, Kirtan Festival ki, Gaura Premanandi.